All right, all right, all right. Peace, everyone. Peace, everyone. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Yusufel is here. I hope you had a good weekend. I know I did. I had the audio on. I uh I wanted to come back and start talking a little bit about the video. How'd y'all like the video this weekend? I mean the video I dropped, the new podcast. Y'all liking the new podcast? Yeah, we got a lot of things coming with the podcast, and we are looking for guests too. So if you are a person, I'm gonna do it just like I did it back in my blog talk days, where I will talk with you and I will vet you and see whether or not you really understand what you're talking about, or you're just another regurgitator. If you haven't conducted independent research, if you haven't been in court, if you haven't been in court, don't even, and you're going to talk about court stuff, don't come and talk to me. All right, don't even do that. You've never been in front of a judge and you want to talk about things to go in front of a judge. Do not come and talk about things that you have not done and you haven't had any success with, because you won't get on the show at all. But I am looking for guests, and that's pretty much my one qualification is, because I know there, the people are out there trying things and things like that, and they may find some information or something like that. Uh, Bits and pieces, and there are some knowledgeable people out there, admittedly. I remember that back from my blog talk days. A lot of knowledgeable people, but we're looking for guests. All right, what's up, peace to the guys. Which one? The one with Steve Brewer? Yeah, the one with Steve Brewer. Now, me and Steve, I've been knowing Steve Brewer for a great number of years. He met me right when I had just gotten out of jail, fighting, doing all of this stuff, and I got into the foreclosure game. And he was the one. He was in court with me. He's been in court with me and seen me in court. Uh, you know, and a couple other people I'm gonna bring on here too. I'm gonna start bringing on people who've actually seen me do things from back in the day when I first got into this space, years ago. I was doing a lot of things that y'all doing, running around trying to buy cars and discharge mortgages, and all the things that y'all doing that y'all think that is new, but is not new, that people have been doing for like the last 40 years, trying to buy cars and stuff like that. That stuff is not new at all. That stuff is about probably about 30 years old. Going in there, get you a purchase order agreement. Y'all got my trust, and then present them with a bill of exchange or something. Only back then, we understood the tax forms a little better than y'all do. Y'all don't understand the tax forms. We, what, 1099 OID, 1099A, 1099, a 1096 transmittal, and a 1040V. Those are the documents we were using back in the day. But today, I don't know what y'all trying to do when y'all trying to go in and buy a car, because you got to understand accounting and how to force the accounting on the car if you want to get the car. That's what it's all about. How do you know how to force the accounting on the car? What's your thoughts on smooth operational law, aka Roma? I don't even know what the hell that is. I don't know no smooth operational, aka Ramon. Yeah, it's my I don't even know what that is. AKA Ramon. What is that? I've listened to some of Ramon's materials over the years. I think he has raised interesting questions about commerce and legal procedure. But like anyone in this space, every claim should be tested against actual statute, case law, and real world results. I encourage people to study principles, not personalities. My goal is yeah, and that's me. I don't listen to other people. I read the law. You see these books behind me? And over here on this bookshelf, and there, I read the law books, man. I read case law. I'll be spending time listening to other people. I don't need nobody to teach me nothing about this. I might every now and then try to listen to somebody. It's very seldom I'm listening to anybody else, because I don't have time, number one. And number two, I haven't seen anyone out there in the space that really garnered my respect like that. None of these new people, because most of the new people just regurgitate. They following the same principles that everybody else did. The straw man, I'm not that person. You don't have jurisdiction over me. I got a right to travel. All that shit. That's the shit that's been talked about for the last 40 years. Why do I need to listen to anybody else when all y'all doing is just all y'all talking about the same thing? Nobody's doing any independent research on their own. So no, I don't listen to that shit. I mean, no offense, he may be good. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just say I don't know. And then my chat went and looked at him real quick, and that's what it said. It's my chat, but it's that it's a personality. I don't even if just even the way you just said that. What's your thoughts on smooth operational law? Like, what is that? Is that a legal term? Smooth operational law? What is that? Tell me what that is. Smooth operational law. What is that? Where can you define that word for me for? Because see, law is not a space for colloquialisms and slangs and shit like that. It's not the space for it. Law is a game of precision and definition of words and precision. It is not a game. They don't have any room for colloquialism, slangs, any of that type of stuff. And when you've immersed yourself in this space and you understand that, you won't do that. I do want to thank you, man. Since I've joined your university, I've been digging into case law and trust law in my state, and I'm learning so much stuff. I never learned anything from anybody else, and I appreciate that. And you know what? What's really interesting about it when you come to SBC University, that's what happens. You get interested. The first thing I think that the students realize is that the law is not as complex as people try to make it out to be. That's the first barrier that you have to get past. That people think that there is this complexity to it. And then once you can show them the actual process of actual reading a case, understanding how to pull a cite, understanding senses of word and their proper application in particular sections, and then also the order of operation as it relates to definition of words and things of that nature and principles of law, which is the real big one, especially when we're talking about trust law, equitable principles. It becomes very enjoyable. It's very enjoyable. Uh, it says that's a YouTube channel. Check out Ian Clifford, Republic of Old Souls, UK. I'd love to hear your perspective. I don't need. Listen, it's this. The law is simple. I don't care where. When I look at the phrases that they use when they talk about republic and stuff like this. All law is either public law or private law. That's on every country on planet Earth. So that's what I look for first. You can say republic. When you say republic, you're really just talking about the private. Okay, that's what you're really saying when you say republic. Okay, because in our country, our rights, if you want to be free and do what you want to do, you got to be in, and being in the republic or this private state citizen and all these things you got to understand private law. Okay, if you don't understand private law, all those terms that you use mean absolutely nothing to me. You can put whatever term you want on it, but if you try to bring that term into a courtroom, it's not going to get recognized because it's not a recognized capacity. Everything in the public is already framed out. Everything. You can't bring your own shit into the public. You got to use what they have. You can't say, "Well, I'm a private state national." That's not a recognized capacity in a public courtroom. You could probably say something like, I'm appearing specially, not generally, in my private capacity for the sole purpose of determining jurisdiction." And that's a statement that the court will recognize. There are some states, but you got to understand what capacity is. And if they don't understand capacity, they don't understand law. If they don't understand definition of words, capacity, classification, rights, remedies, duties, and liabilities, if they don't know that formula as it relates to dealing with the public, and then if you're dealing with the private, it's private ordering. That's it. I don't need to listen to anybody else. I don't need to hear no discussions about the church, the Pope got authority over us. I don't need to hear nothing about, the Republic and, they acting ultra virus and outside of, de facto and, this right. That's the sovereign citizenship. And that's what I'm here to discuss today. Like it's time for y'all to come out of it's a lot of stupidity. It's a lot of let me not call it stupidity. It's a lot of individuals who don't know how to study law. They may even be intelligent. Just because you're intelligent doesn't mean you know how to study law. That don't mean nothing. You can be smart as you want to be. If you don't know how to read law and study it, I don't care I don't care how well of a command you have of the English language. I don't care about any of that. I don't mean nothing. Because what they say is true. A person who has to sell for a client has a fool for an attorney, or what, fool for a client. A person who represents himself has a fool for a client. There's some truth to that. Because look at all the amount of people who use words as if, like, here's the first thing. A lot of people, they don't even know when you come into the legal arena, the words have different meaning than they do in the regular world. But a lot of you will try to translate words in law as if they are on the street. So that right there, you thrown off right there. Like the other day when I said the opinion of the judge, and somebody in the audience said, "Oh, that's his opinion." It's like, nah. If you are not paranoid to the point, if you have, let me tell you how I know that you've reached a level I can respect. I'm gonna tell you right now. These the type of this is how I know you've reached a level where I can start to respect you. When you instinctively know to look up a word that you know that word don't mean what you think it means. Like you'll see words, like you'll be reading something and you'll see it, because there are legal words and legal terms. And you'll see something and you're like, you just kind of, your instincts will kick in. And, I need to look up that word right there because I know that doesn't mean what I think it means. And then you go look it up and sure enough, it doesn't. When you get to that level right there, I can begin to respect you because that's the doorway into comprehension and understanding. If you haven't crossed that threshold, I don't have no reason to talk to you about nothing. And I mean nothing. Nothing. Especially you ain't been in court, nothing. I don't respect anybody who hasn't gotten that. If you can't understand that, case in point, Secured Trust. It took about me 6 months talking about that for people to start quieting down on that. And they have Google and AI and wouldn't even look up the word. Secured Trust. I read Secured Trust every day when I'm reading case law. These people don't know what that word means. I mean, absolutely, positively, no idea what it means, but they use it every day. Nah. He's focused on recouping and abandoned credit. What do you mean abandoned credit? I like that abandoned credit, but all right. I mean, he said the name is based on an envoy private membership community. Now y'all got private membership communities now. But you ain't gonna give me the credit for come bringing that out, are you? But now all of a sudden, I'm seeing people talking about private membership associations and privatizing their assets, all that right now. You know why? You know why they're doing that? Because you got AI and everybody has AI and all these people know it. And if you're gonna sit here and keep on talking about stupid shit and AI spreading like wildfire, you better adjust. That bullshit that y'all been all that echo chamber bullshit, that shit is over with. That shit is over. That age is over. That's an old age, it's gone. That when you just come on with some conspiracy ass shit and just start kicking it because it sounded good, and you got a lot of likes on it and everything like that, that shit's over with. You don't win SPC stuff because it's private. See, like that. That right there. He doesn't understand private banking. He don't understand public and private. He's in a position of win-win. Now, let me say this. I've told them for 15 years to read creditors and their bonds. They ain't read it not one time. Not one time. He thinks it's a win-lose situation. When you see that, they don't know. They don't know. When they have a win-lose mindset, you wasting your time. It's not even a win-lose thing. He says, show us a case, like as if any private process is going to be in the public. First of all, it's not. It's not. The closest you could get to seeing a private process if it's something was they settled out of court. Now I told him to get private ordering. It's not because Secured Party is just private banking. He really think that somebody gonna come forward and say, you know what, Mr. Jones, thank you for giving you your bill of exchange, sir. We really appreciate it. You know what? We're gonna set off this case for you and put it on the public record so you can tell everybody on fucking YouTube how you just won. These people, this is what they think. They think like this because they don't understand nothing about this space. Nothing. Nothing. You came in through a door. I've seen y'all. Y'all come through them doors and them Facebook groups and shit like that. I'm over there checking y'all out. Y'all know what y'all talking about. You have no experience in dealing with this or anything. First of all, if you think it's a win-lose situation, you have absolutely no. What do you think acceptance for value was? You tell me what that is. Tell me what you know. There's a whole age of acceptance. Y'all got away from it. But what is acceptance for value? What does that mean? Or confession and avoidance. Get on your computer and pull up confession and avoidance, and come back and explain it to me and tell me what it means. He says so here's the next thing. So when they say so basically, so that right there lets you know that they're making an inference based off their limited understanding. They're not very intelligent already. So the inference that they're making is based off their limited understanding of what you're saying. So he said, so basically you're saying, so as soon as they say basically you're saying, you know they're twisting your words. Because I don't basically nothing. I tell you directly. You don't have to interpret nothing I'm saying. When you use basically, I will tell you precisely, all right, what it is. My proof is I'm here in front of you. And I show proof. Yes, I got cases. I've shown them to my class. I've filed cases. I've shown them. If you want to see them, you can come over to SBC University like everybody else. If you don't want to pay me no money, I'm not showing you nothing. So if you're ready to go in your pocket and pay me some money or get a consultation or something, I'll be happy to show you. But if you're not going to do that, you might reserve your comments, sit back and just listen, because I've been doing this for 15 years and people like you're probably like number 1,245. You're not saying anything new. I've answered this question probably about 1,450 times. So please just be quiet, all right? Just stop talking. You know, you act like proof. Ain't none of y'all got no proof. Let me ask you a question. Is this proof right here? You got people that'll come in, I got proof. Okay, I say, okay, so let's say you discharge your mortgage. Let's say you discharge a car. All right, so I got a car. I'm going to discharge this car, right? So I'm going to set up my Secured Party process. I'm going to get me a bill of exchange. I'm going to attend it. I'm going to tell them to take it to the Treasury Tax and Loan Department. I'm going to give them some processing instructions to go through the Treasury Department. And next thing you know, now I have my title to my car. And I present you with the title to the car. Let me ask you, is that proof? I'm talking to dude in the chat right now. I show you that whole process. I take you through it. I come and then I have the title to the car. I show you the process I do. Is that proof? Is that proof? Yeah, filed cases aren't winning. You're right. You're absolutely correct. I just told you they don't put stuff in the public. I'm asking you a question. If I show you a discharged car or discharged mortgage, is that proof? Would that be proof for you? Okay, I'll go in and tell you. If you do a private process, let's say you do a criminal case, they're not gonna. If you win, they're not gonna tell you the reason you won. It's another reason that they always give for you winning. I don't know why you didn't pick up on it. They're not gonna say, "Oh, thank you for your private process. We appreciate it." That's not gonna appear on the public record. And I got a whole bunch of people I've helped. Many, many. Go on, keep on going. Let's keep on going. I like this right here. You want to call in? You want to call in and talk to me? And you want me to set up a phone so you can call in and talk to me? Because we could do this right in front of everybody. You want to call in? We could talk about case law. We could talk about opinions. We could talk about, I've gone through all this. I've been doing this for 15 years. And that's why I say y'all don't know what y'all are talking about. Because your whole concept of this space is wrong. It's wrong. Your whole concept of how this stuff goes is wrong. It's not even right. You're trying to use private processes and then fit it into a framework in the public of case law, decisions, and things like that. The two are diametrically opposite of each other. So I just know you don't know, like, why am I going to engage you in a conversation? Because y'all look for proof. And that's why Jesus said in the Bible, he said, what did he say? He said, an evil generation looks for a sign, but it's public and private don't mix. Why you don't understand that? I just don't understand why you don't understand that. It don't mix. Everybody who does this on a high level, they understand what I'm talking about. Everybody who got experience right now. That's why you don't see nobody who got experience come and argue with me. It's only people who got no experience, ain't never did anything, and they trying to figure stuff out, and they skeptical. They skeptics and things like that. Those are the only ones. You don't see people who have been in court and done things, they talk to me. You don't see nobody do that because they all know how it go. They all know how it go. You trying to go into court and argue a case. That's how you thinking. You think I'm gonna go in here and argue a case. That you don't argue first and foremost. You're not arguing a case. Now it's not even about your actions. It's about, first of all, you're not going to argue any facts. That's the first step. You don't argue any facts. When you argue facts, you end up in trial. It's private, so it shouldn't be on the record. Nothing you should be on the record. You know, I had to learn that too. I remember my first time I went into court and I tried to file GSA bonds. I tried to file them in the public record. You can't file that in the public record. You can't file it in the public record. That's the only way you're going to find out. You got to prove it to yourself. They got it set up like that. They got it set up where the only way you can prove something is you have to prove it to yourself. That's why I say y'all don't know the space. They're not going to allow no evidence to circulate around. And that's just ridiculous, just stupid for you to think that, because y'all all run back to the internet. You don't think they see that y'all all run back to the internet showing shit? It's just like the lack of common sense that is so rampant in this space is just amazing to me. It's amazing to me that you think that they will provide you with some sort of evidence where you could come on YouTube and disseminate it to a broad range of people. You're an idiot if you think that. I don't know what to say to you, bro. I don't. I don't know what to tell you. Because you got to get those basics. Like, first of all, you got to understand what's public and private and what you can do and what you can't do. All right, number one. Number one. When you're talking about negotiable instruments, you can't force anybody to take anything. That's number two. That's number two. And number three, they're not allowing nothing on the public record. Better know those things. I think it take about 3 years to become functionally literate in this space. About 3 years. I think about 3 years. You can tell people who've been studying it about 3 years. But like there's an attorney, he just did the process out of Cracking the Code 3rd edition. He's an attorney. He did it with the incredible to me. He did it with the he copyrighted his name and charged a $500,000 a piece and then formed a bond out of it and securitized it. That's why I had Steve on, because I wanted y'all to understand how securitization works. And then he took it over to Greece, and it went before the Supreme Court in Greece, and they said they didn't find anything wrong with it. Now you can find that in the public record, but what you can't find is where the bond came from. But it came from a secured party process here in Georgia, up in Oregon. But you don't know that connection. And it's an attorney used the process. An attorney. A disbarred attorney too. He got disbarred. It says facts, you alarm the public. It's a private. That's why I say, and that's what I did with SBC University. See, like when I first came in here, you go through these stages when you first come in. Like the first stage, you might start doing paperwork for people, because that's what you're going to learn first. You're going to learn what a security agreement is, how to file a UCC1, UCC3 addendum, bill of exchange, things like that. Your affidavit denial of corporate citizenship, and an affidavit of tax exempt status, and whatever forms you choose to use, because none of this stuff is written in stone. None of it is written in stone. So processes can change, be improved, and things like that. Not against any of that, as long as the principle is still sound behind it. But you start there. Then you selling paperwork to people, and then you're giving it to the people. They don't know what the fuck it is, and you telling them, hey, you're now a secured party. And now they got this paperwork. They don't know what to do with it. All right. So you go through that for a little while. Then after you do that for a little while, you may do some, like I did a lot of foreclosure cases. You do foreclosure cases for a while. And that teaches you, and that taught me about process and filing paperwork. That's why I really learned how to really, really, really uh, file motions and a lot of different things, paperwork demands and things like that when I really got into the foreclosure thing. So then after that, you move to your next iteration where you say, okay, they ain't going to understand what you're talking about. You start trying to teach them. And you start trying to teach them how to do it. You say, look, you need to learn how to do this for yourself. Because once you get the comprehension of it, like what dude is saying, show me some proof, you won't even like, okay, man, I don't need to do that. Here it is right here. I understand what it is. And then when you have those experiences in court, because that nobody can see, because that's what they do. They intentionally keep it behind closed doors. I don't know what to tell you on that. But if people are always talking about proof, it's like, even if I showed you a discharge, a mortgage or a discharge card, that's not proof of anything. It's not proof of nothing. Nah, the attorney, yeah, the attorney from the Credit River decision, I don't know if he got disbarred, but the judge ended up dead 6 months later. And that's on the record. And that's the last time you've seen something on the record. The Credit River decision, when that judge came on the public record and said Federal Reserve notes ain't money, and they have no real contract, and that banker went on the stand and took the stand and testified how they create money, you ain't seen another banker come into the courtroom again and get on the stand and testify, and that judge ended up dead, and that sent a message to all the judges. So I don't understand why you would think you're going to get some proof of something. I'm not trying to provide you proof. What I'm trying to do, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help you get to a point where you can see what's bullshit and what's real. That's all I want to do right now. I want to dispel the bullshit because y'all brought a lot of bullshit into this space. A lot of 70% of the shit that's circulating in this space right now is bullshit. Total, utterly bullshit. It's just bullshit. Is not grounded in nothing. I mean nothing, not law or in the imaginary world. It's just some made up shit somebody pulled out their ass based off their limited understanding. Use case law when you're dealing up. When you use case law, you're looking for a public remedy. All right. If I'm studying case law, because we study case law in trust, all right, and we study it primarily so we know what not to do, so you don't end up in court. Because one of the rules is don't end up in court. And how you know not to end up in court is by looking at what everybody do to screw up to get in court. So the case law is to teach you what not to do, so you don't end up in court. Because the object of the game is not to go to court at all. You can't discharge a mortgage using the SPU, bro. Stop the cap. I got a house right now. I can bring somebody in. I'm here right now. First of all, let me say this, and let me say this. Let me give y'all some real clarity on what he just said. See, they are trying to get things, and that was something else that got introduced. When I came in here, we weren't on here. We got money. We're not trying to get free houses and free cars. We came into the space with money. All right, so we didn't do that. We didn't come to that trying to get a free car or free house. I came in talking about criminal cases, and I'm still here. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You trying to discharge a mortgage, it wasn't really never even designed for that. Now, do people are successful? Yeah, probably about 2%. But yeah, people discharge mortgages. What are you talking about? That's a lie right there. You straight up lying. Straight up lying. Lying. You don't know what you're talking about. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. It's a way that you do it, yes. You can get a mortgage or you can even get a car. People have gotten cars. All that is real. So you don't know what you're talking about. You need to start the cap. I don't have time. I'm not here to fake in front of you. I'm telling you, you see the people I bring on. I don't bring on fake people. These people have been around me. They've seen what I've done. Not with my process. Okay, so show me the process that do work. Show me the process that do work. What process work? Tell me in the chat what process work. How you discharge a debt? And what is my process? You know my process? I don't have a process. As a matter of fact, I don't have a process. I have, what I teach at SBC University. It was a guy, as a white guy. He made a lot of money. It was him and an attorney. Him and an attorney is the one that did it. And that's what I teach my students. That process they gave. I didn't create the process. It was an attorney and another guy gave me that, and they taught me about. It's just when they taught. They taught me what was that? Uh, yeah, it's right off the tip of my tongue. Um, it's a subpoena ducis tecum. I got into the discussion with the attorney about a subpoena ducis tecum, what subpoena ducis tecum. So tell us what your process is, because we got the DTC process with Tony King. I know that backward and forward. You got Tim Turner process. What process are you talking about? You got the tax forms that you use, 1099. I just told you, you discharge your debt, you use a 1099 OID, 1096 transmittal, 1040V, and all those right there. So what process are you talking about? Because I've seen all of them. So show me what process you're talking about to discharge your debt. Which one are you talking about? Because I've seen all of them. Which one? He ain't gonna say that. He don't say nothing. Oh, sorry about that. I've seen all the processes. So tell me what process you're talking about. Because you have to balance its accounting no matter which way you look at it, and you have to zero out the account. So let me be more specific. How are you zeroing out the account? If you're doing an accounting process with a car or a mortgage or something like that, what accounting process do you use to force the accounting on a discharge in order to zero out the account and then get whatever it is that you need? Tell me what that is. And I can't respect, if you're going to use the letter U in a sentence instead of YOU, and then you're going to sit here and try to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, I can't respect that. If you're going to use, we're in law, so use proper grammar. I shouldn't sitting here have to admonish you to use proper grammar when you're in the chat and we're talking about law, because that tells me about your level of intelligence. Because right now I think you're a hood dude trying to sit here that's jealous of me, sitting here trying to explain something to me, because right now I'm looking at, you don't even know how to spell. So what process are you talking about? You want to call in? You can call in. You want to call in? Y'all want me to call in? Let me set up my thing. Let's set it up real quick. I'm gonna set up my call in. I'm coming call in line. Because I think everybody want to hear this process that you got that works, since mine doesn't, but yours works, or you know of one who does work. All right, let's see it. Because the secure party process is the oldest process in this space. Everything else carbon copied or took portions of that to make a new process. Everything out there they're doing is a branch off from the secure party process. Everything. Because I've been here and watched the whole thing progress. I've been here 20 years. Yeah, I'm gonna let him call in. I'm gonna let him wait. I'm gonna pick up my phone right now. I'm gonna put him right on the line right now. Let him call in right now. Hold on, let me set it up right now. Let's do it. Let's do a call in. We got somebody in. man, I don't know if I can. I just let me see. Is this a? You know what? I just figured. I don't know if I know how to Bluetooth this one. I got a new this roadcast. I got this new roadcaster. I don't know if I know how to Bluetooth this one in. This is a new roadcast. Let me see. How we Bluetooth this? Can I Bluetooth this in? Maybe I can Stripe them. Skype them in. Let me see how this thing works, man. I don't know how this thing works. Oh, you lucky right now. You lucky right now. I got a new Rodecaster video. I haven't figured out how to use the oh yeah, put them on speakerphone. Yeah, put them on speakerphone. Yeah, put them on speakerphone. Let me see if he gonna call in first. Let me see where he at. He gonna call in. I'm trying to see if he gonna call in first. No, I was gonna let him call in and see because when they come into the chat and start talking like that, like they know something that I don't. I'm all ears. I used to have a radio show. That's all I did for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, is just take calls and talk to people for 7 years straight from everybody in this space. I done interviewed the gurus and everybody from Gene Keaton to David Wynn Miller and everybody like that. So it's like, hey, if you got something that you know, uh, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. None of these processes work 100% of the time. If it did, somebody be a millionaire. I know I would, because I'd be selling it just because people like you, just to keep it out, I'd be selling for $25,000 a pop. If it worked 100% of the time, just to keep it out of broke people's hand like you who talk shit. So I don't know where that came from, because if anyone has something that worked 100% of the time, we would know about it. Ain't nobody got nothing work 100% of the time, bruh. Nobody. It's based on the individual and his understanding of what they're doing. I did give y'all the document. Oh my goodness gracious. And this is another thing. Why y'all don't look? Why you don't look? I put the document right there under the video. And let me put the link. Let me put a I got it downloaded and everything like this. Let me get this. Let me put this link in there because they like, they want this. And I want to see, I'm gonna see if you even understand it. This video of this American Securitization Council that's being talked about. I want to see if you can even follow along with what he's talking about. Vernon H.C. Wright, he was the president of the American Securitization Council. And this was a letter to the Financial Accounting Standards Board on their um, they were trying to make him give disclosure because this was about true sale. True sale is a securitization term on assets and everything. Because when you securitize something, there's a bundle of rights on both sides. The secured party has a bundle of rights, but also the debtor retains some rights, and that right that he retains is set off. And he's explaining all this right here in this letter right here. And Vernon A.C. Wright. I want to see if you can follow along with it and let's see, because it's not going to be talk. It's not going to talk like you got. It's a lot of words you need to look up the definition to. It's right here, disclosure document, right here. Just put it right there. I don't know. Will this fit in the? Let me see if this fit in the chat. It's a long ass link. I might have to shorten this link. Click on that right there. Well, let's look at this document real quick. I haven't read this document in a long time. Let's look at this real quick. Because this is a good document, man. Let's look at this real quick. Let's look at this document. All right. Let me see. I put this on the screen for y'all. I'm gonna put this on the screen. Oh, let me delete this right here. Delete, delete, delete. So I just do a screen capture this. Monitor window. All right, so this is the letter right here. This is right here. This is American Securitization Form. You can see right here it's in 2004. All right, that was around the time, I was doing I found this letter because I was fighting foreclosures and things like that, dealing in foreclosure. Ladies and gentlemen, the American Securitization Forum thanks the Financial Accounting Standards Board for the opportunity to comment on set off and legal isolation. And legal isolation is, well, you know what? I'm going to let chat, you know what I'm going to do? Hold on real quick. I forgot I got AI now. I forgot I got AI. Let me see. Let me see. Can I download? Hold on. Let me do this real quick. I forgot I got AI. Let's see. Down documents. FAS site set off in isolation. Dander's board and give me a story and give me the history. Give me the history and meaning. All right, let's see. This document is, oh, look at what my chat GPT is saying. Me and my chat are just, yeah, responding to. Okay, it says this document is far more important than many people realize because it shows how the accounting industry, the legal profession, and the securitization market were attempting to reconcile legal ownership, true sale, with accounting ownership, derecognition. They want to derecognize it off their ledger. So you got to understand what a derecognition of an asset is, as well as what a true sale is. All right. This is what I mean when I say it'd be interesting to see if you can follow along because there's a lot of terminology. If you aren't in accounting, if you aren't in accounting or anything, or you don't understand securitization, you're going to be a learning curve for you to even understand what this letter is talking about. But it's not a secret banking manual. It is a comment letter submitted by the American Securitization Forum, ASF, to the Financial Accounting Standards Board on May 10, 2004, responding to proposed accounting guidance regarding set-off rights in legal isolation and securitization. Let me put it on the screen for you. I forgot. I need to put it on the screen, don't it? What the chat told me right here. It says the document is far more important than many people realize because it shows how the accounting industry, the legal profession, and the securitization market were attempting to reconcile legal ownership, true sale, with accounting ownership derecognition. It is not a secret banking manual. It is a comment letter submitted by the American Securitization Forum, ASF, to the Financial Accounting Standards Board on May 10, 2004, responding to proposed accounting guidance regarding set-off rights in legal isolation and securitization. Part one, the historical background. I asked Chad to give me the history behind it because I believe that you need to understand the history behind anything that you're studying, including the law, as well as all you rappers out there. It is just, I'm like, how you going to be in rap and you don't know the history of rap, don't know nothing about the old school and nothing like that, but they want to be rappers and don't sound nothing like a rapper. It's like you study the history or whatever you get involved in. So here's the part one historical background. To understand this letter, you have to go back to the late 1980s and 1990s, around the time the securitization started. The American Securitization Forum, Vernon H.C. Wright, and you need to pull him up and see all the people he was tied into. Very powerful guy. Banks wanted to originate loans, sell those loans, remove them from their balance sheets, free capital, and make new ones. And that's what the derecognition of the asset off the balance sheet is discussing. This became modern securitization. Also, they talk about, if this is what I found out about on the car, when you purchase a car, if you look on the back of the car, there's a claims and defense notice. which is put out by the Federal Trade Administration. They call it the holder in due course rule, and that is a warning not to you, but to the people on Wall Street to let them know that this is a risky investment because the debtor does retain rights. Those rights being set off. It says, so part one, the historical background. Understand this letter, you have to go back to the late 1980s and 1990s. Banks wanted to originate loans, sell those loans, remove them from their balance sheet, free capital, and make new loans. This became modern securitization. Example, bank originates $500 million mortgage. Instead of holding them, they sell them to a special purpose vehicle. This is when all this stuff started. This securitization, this homogenizing of dead assets into a pool. The SPC issues bonds, investors buy those bonds. The problem, did the bank really sell the loan, or did it merely borrow money using the loans as collateral? That distinction affects everything. If it was only a loan, the banks will still own the mortgages. The loans remain on the balance sheet. Capital requirements remain, risk remain. If it was a true sale, the banks no longer own them. They disappear from the balance sheet. This is called derecognition. But this was the problem. How are you going to sell something that you don't own 100%? The single accounting decision is worth billions of dollars. That single accounting decision is worth billions. I'm giving y'all some insight into something right now that ain't nobody else showed you. That single accounting decision is worth billions of dollars. Wow. I don't think y'all understand the impact of that statement right there, what this letter is talking about. It wasn't just Vernon H.C. Wright and the American Securitization Council. If you get on the internet and you put in isolation and derecognition of assets, you'll get some letters from other law groups and everything. This was a very important matter as it relates to securitization, and y'all don't know nothing about it. I've known about it for 15 years. Y'all don't know anything about it. Part two, why FASB, the Financial Accounting Standards Board, became involved. FASB doesn't make law. FASB creates accounting standards, GAAP. Law asks who owns it. Accounting asks, should this still appear on your books? Those questions are often different. The entire letter exists because accountants fear companies were removing assets they still effectively controlled. Part three, what is derecognition? This is probably the single most important accounting concept in securitization. Suppose I own a 100 million of loan. Wait, let me stop, man. Should I be giving them this for free, man, on YouTube, man? Man, should I be giving them this for free on YouTube, man? I don't even know if I should be giving them all this. I'm teaching a class on YouTube. He talking shit to me down in the chat and shit. You know, I gave you the letter now. I could go deep into it because there's a lot of other stuff outside chat that I got that we can talk about. Because, you know, he just in there talking about something like we ain't been already looked into the accounting and double book entry and all this type of stuff right here. But you can have it. I think I should be doing that on YouTube for free, man. It's too much. He ain't a member and they won't join the university. They want something for nothing. Something for nothing. Class coming. I'm going back in class tonight. We're gonna talk about this tonight in class. I'm gonna leave this for y'all. I'm gonna set up a. I'm gonna leave this for y'all tonight in class tonight. I ain't gonna get this. I ain't gonna get this over the internet for free. I'm going to do this in class tonight. I ain't getting no call in. What does he want to call? Did he say he want to call in? Where he at? I was trying to see if you. So I saw somebody say he was just talking. That's what I saw. Where's the call in number? I'm waiting for him to say he want to call in. Cause see, I don't have no. I don't. I'll tell you what. I'll do a call in show tomorrow, or I'll do one later today. I'll do a call in show today at 7 o'clock. I'll set it up where I can just call in. I'll set it up. I don't want to give y'all my cell number because I have to give you my cell number. And I ain't gonna blast my cell number out over there. I'm gonna give you. I have a call in number. We'll do it today at 7 o'clock. You want to call in? Hey, man, I done did this a million times, man. This ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. Y'all ain't got access to no info. Ain't nothing hidden. Ain't no hidden information. There's no hidden really information. It's information out there, and you either know how to decipher it or you don't. But there's nothing hidden, and it ain't nothing I ain't heard before. I just said I do it at 7 o'clock, man. God damn. Don't you understand what the hell I'm saying? I said I'll do it at 7 o'clock. I'll do a call-in show. This ain't nothing. You really think he gonna tell you really think he gonna be like shocking when he call in and be gonna give you some like some enlightening information or in some kind of way show me up? It hadn't happened before. I've been doing this for 15 years. It haven't. That's why I'm here in this space talking to y'all now. I know all the things he's talking about. See, when you discharge a debt, it's going to involve a negotiable instrument. It's going to involve accounting. All right. And no matter what type of process that they're talking about, it's going to involve a negotiable instrument and it's going to involve accounting because there isn't any money. So everything is accounting. So I know that part. So what does he have to offer inside of that isn't that I don't already know about? That's going to be the question. All right. What he's going to give somebody. So, and here's the next thing. Are you giving a negotiable instrument to the company or are you giving it to the Treasury Department? And if you give it to the company, is the company required to accept it? If you're giving it to the government, are they required to accept it? And well or not, or are you giving them tax forms and then you're going to do the accounting on it, which is going to force them to zero out their books and then give you the asset off of that? Is what is the process that you're using to accomplish that? Is not no other ways to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're trying to say. We're not trying to tell you, I'm not trying to necessarily tell you how to do something. I'm trying to show you the framework that it operates in. And then once you understand the framework, there is a lot of creativity that you are allowed to do. That's why on Wall Street they got so many creative investment vehicles up there because creativity is allowed. So if you got something creative, but I understand the framework it operates in. Look at me trying to say you just prove you could. All right, well, make sure you're here at 7 o'clock. Now I'm gonna give him this number. I'm gonna give it to him. I'm gonna give it to him. No, ain't no way. I got this right here. Hold on. I got another way to do it. I got another way where I give him my number. Hold on, I got it. I'm gonna get this nigga, man. These niggas be talking shit. I don't know who they fucking with. Trying to be nice. You don't even understand in the chat and everything that they dealing with an 800-pound gorilla. I show this nigga, man. They be talking shit. They tell that young boy talk. It cap at new slang and shit. You gotta get used to it. I got that should be pissing me off. Man, well, let me do this. I got a number for you to call in. Call in number 404-948-5610. 404 here, let me post it for them. Because they really think somebody's scared or something. Man, they be really believing this stuff. They really believe it. I'm gonna post it in the chat so he get it. There ain't no confusion. There go the number. Let me set it up real quick. Let me set it up. Only thing is I can't bring it through the speaker, but I'm gonna put the phone on the mic. I can't bring it through because I don't have it set up it come through it come through, but y'all should be able to hear what he said. Let me see, where is it at? Let me set this. Okay, that's it. Let's see. 794-7005. That right there.
Studio and cannot yet receive calls on SDC University.
Wait, what I do? What did it just do? Hold on. Let me see. Let me call it again. Oops. What did it just tell me? It ain't never said nothing like that. I got money in there. Yeah, I got money on it. Oh, I got to start the show. Let me start the show. Okay, let's see. Okay, I got to say, okay, start the show. Okay, okay. Oh, okay, I'm going, there we go. Host. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm waiting. Line open. Put this on speakerphone so we all hear it. Mic right there into the phone. Line is open. Phone number, call in number 469. Got the phone number 44948 5610. 44948 5610. 44948 5610. 44948 5610. 44948 5610. You on the line? Yeah, you on the line? They can hear you. Everybody can hear you. Oh. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's this is not him, y'all. All right, what's your question? I can answer the question. I can answer it. I can answer the question. I can answer it. All right. First of all, there's a Roman maxim that says, "He who can be fooled, let him." All right. I have to start off with that. That's a maxim that he who can be fooled, let him. Okay. And what that adheres to is your responsibility. You know, Teddy Roosevelt, who was one of the presidents of the United States, he's also a 33-degree Mason. He made a statement talking about the sovereignty of the American people and the responsibility and the proper utilization of that sovereignty. Um, what has occurred in modern times is that people have been dumbed down. Like when I was raised in a household that put a premium on education. You know, in my house, there was a premium put on that. Reading every day. Um, they publish everything. How are you saying that they are doing something and they publish everything? I just told you earlier that there's no secret information. Everything is being published. Okay, am I not correct? It's published. You can go find it in a book. So how are they acting in a way that you're saying is immoral if they are giving you access to all the information and then you don't seek that access? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever even been inside of a law library? Okay. Do you know how to read a citation of authority? I'm no. Well, how to locate a specific case in a reference material, meaning that if I go into the law library, if you have 395 U.S. 497, 1984. What does that mean? Do you know how to go into the law library and find that? The reference material. The first set of numbers is telling the volume number. The second set of letters is telling you the reference material. And then the third set of numbers is giving you the page number and then the year of publishing. And so when you go into the law library, you know what you're looking for. See, there are certain basic things. That's basic. That's some basic stuff. And I'm not saying that everybody should know how to do that because that is the domain of attorneys. That attorneys. But we are in a space right now where people are interested in law. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't fundamentally know that, but you're asking me how to discharge a car or a mortgage or something like that, and there could be a possibility that you could end up in court having to defend your position, and you don't know the first thing about doing that, and attorneys have to go to law school for 3 years and everything, but you got people on the internet. I would move to say that the people are being taken advantage of you are the people on the internet teaching you things, and then they're not competent in the area of expertise, but they're selling and teaching information. I would venture to say that those people are more responsible for misleading you than the government, because also they're giving you the wrong impression of government. Because after me studying law, I see a lot where a lot of the responsibility is on me to know certain things. Okay, for instance, like public and private. You come, well, the government is de facto, the government is evil, the government is corrupt. Well, the government operates in the public, and the public is a regulated space that received a delegation of authority from private citizens for that particular matter. You, as a private citizen, you have your own domain, and if you feel a certain way or you feel like things should be ran a certain way, there are avenues for you to make that happen. But you've been told that, well, you're the sovereign and you can speed without a driver's license, go through a school zone at 100 miles an hour. Everybody can. If we don't have to have a driver's license, that means nobody has to have a driver's license. Okay, that means everybody can speed. Everybody can do everything. So now you are bringing chaos into the situation. You're an agent of chaos, is what you really are. And then that's going to make me start questioning whether or not this space has been invaded by Marxists. Because see, Marxists will come in and plant seeds that will sprout, and then other people will take it and start running with it. You got to understand, I've been in this space 20 years, so I've seen all the different iterations and all this. I've seen so many remedies and so many processes come through, and they get mad at me because I'm talking about their process. But bro, I don't give a fuck about you getting upset. You can't do anything to me. You know how many challenges people that came at me? I don't care about you getting mad at me, bro. You sitting there deceiving people. And I gave you the number, so call in. But on top of that, but the point about that is they kept giving us all this case law saying they have a right to travel. Okay, the case law doesn't say that. First of all, they didn't even look up the definition of right to travel. Right to travel is the ability to move state to state. Okay, it is not talking about the mode of travel cannot be regulated. The mode of travel can be regulated, and every single case law that has been presented in front of me has said this very thing, in spite of what the person is telling me what it said, letting me know that they didn't even read it, or if they did, they didn't understand what they were reading, which is a lot of times is more times than not is what is actually going on. So this blame thing. Okay, you got to reserve this blame thing, number one, because you got to make sure you understand what you understanding everything. Like, do you understand the 7 principles of the Constitution? Most people don't even understand how their government is structured. They keep saying what the president did for us, but the president's responsibility is to enforce the laws. That's it. Congress writes the laws. President don't write the laws. He can sign it, or he can veto it. And if they veto it, they can send it back to Congress, and they can do 2/3 of vote and still pass it in spite of them. The legislature is the most powerful branch of government. They're the ones who declare war. We gave them the most power. So I don't understand. Say what Obama did for us, or any president. I look at people kind of funny. I'm like, what are you talking about? What he done for you? But this is what people think. So there's a lack of a basic civic education that we have to contend with too. So before you get mad, before you get mad at someone, yeah, before you get, yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you. You know, like I think you're right, and I do, but I do heavily like so I do read and I do try to educate myself, and there is some things that I do like understand that there are people in power that set up the system that doesn't teach us the laws and the how to read a citation of authorities. Like in school, we're taught. Like I was born and raised in Virginia, right? So
Hmm.
I went to public schools here. In public schools, they don't teach us this. They don't teach us what truly matters and then they said us, and I'm not trying to. Again, I really, I'm not trying to put blame on anyone aside from myself. I'm a grown ass man. I gotta read this shit. I can't rely on anyone's decision or anyone's like rationale. But at the same time, I'm also. It's so tough to take on the rationale of these judges as well. Like like the judicial system is there to interpret the law for us, right? But what is their interpretation? Like, what if we don't agree with it completely? Like, what do we do in that scenario? How do we get resolution? How do
Well,
we
you
get
get
like how do we
well. First of all, you get resolution, and first of all, the first thing you got to make a determination of whether we're talking about a right or we're talking about a benefit or a privilege. That's the first step we have to look at, which that's the first lens we have to view things through, which most people won't do that. Are we talking about a right or are we talking about a benefit and a privilege you don't like? Okay, we're talking about a benefit and a privilege. There's not a lot you can say because it's a benefit and a privilege, and a government can take a benefit and a privilege away at will whenever it wants. So you can complain all you want to. Doesn't mean anything. So that would be the first thing I'm going to look at. Are we talking? And that's why I keep trying to stress. It is important for people to understand the distinction between public and private first. So it is a framework that you have to understand first, and then we can go into discharging debt and secured party and whether or not and all these different things and whether or not you have jurisdiction over me and all these different things. But you got to understand the framework that everything is operating in first. And I don't see that. I don't see anybody who has come in this space and giving people a framework to operate in. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. So everything is just all over the place, and people think they have rights or they think that this is right based off of some person that they were listening to that wasn't formally trained in law, who may not have understood how words work in law, how legal terms operate, definitely didn't understand capacity and classification. Do the and should the attorneys tell you this? That's their profession. And I don't give anybody anything for free. I don't blame them anything. I wouldn't give anybody anything for free either. I don't feel sorry for nobody. They don't appreciate it. Let me tell you something. My first 2 years in this, I had my Dropbox open and gave it away for free. You know what people did? They would go in there and change the documents around so that, like the templates, so that if somebody tried to use a template, it would be for the government and not for them. They changed all the words around in it and put it and we were just doing stuff like that. You're dealing with devils, and something. And let me say this too. Something like that will work on a person who doesn't read the document. So that was another reason why I started SBC University, because I have to show my students, look, we read this from beginning to end. All right. We're going to read this document from beginning to end, and we're going to look up every single word in it and make sure that we know what the definition of every word in it means. That's a process that you have to go through first. All right. Education is a process. It's not an instantaneous thing. Once you make the decision that you want to go into a certain space, one of the first things that you have to do is you have to understand the language of that space. So when you come in and you try to study law, you got to understand legalese. I'm not even saying I'm the best at it. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney. I'm not every day in this every day, every single day in courtrooms, drawing up legal documents. That's their profession. They're in it. They use the words every day. I don't do that every day. Not every day, like not like that, not to make a living like that. I deal with it a lot. I do deal with it a lot. I'm Yeah, I deal with it a lot, but I still respect their profession. Now, are there some areas of their profession that I think are corrupt? Yes. I think criminal law is corrupt. I think foreclosure is corrupt. I was in them. I think I seen this firsthand. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is, and there's some things like it with the foreclosure, I might pull back a little bit on it because I got more understanding about that later on. As far as, because all these people want to do this chain of title and produce the note. And the court's already said, okay, you got to demonstrate an injury. You're the debtor. The only people who that injures is the certificate holders, and you're not one of those. And I studied trust law, so I'm sitting there thinking, we're talking about a trust, first of all. That's everything, those special purpose vehicles, that's what they are. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, I can't say nothing. I'm like, the judge is right. I can't say anything. So it's certain, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of that corruption will also start to dissipate once you start understanding the law a little bit. You will stop demonizing them as much. You know what I'm saying? Because you can sit here and read an opinion, and you can see the principles of law as they are being applied. See, that's how you can tell whether or not something is corrupt or not. What are the principles behind it, and whether or not they're being applied properly? See, that's going to be the measuring stick. But you got to study what those principles are. And that's what we do at SPC University. We concentrate on principles heavily. I don't teach them anything without showing them the underlying principle that supports it. Principles are few. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, it is self-paced. All of our classes are recorded. You can come back and listen into them. Obviously, you can see just from my podcast. You see, updated my podcast. I'm updating SPC University too. So you got some grand things that I got planned. Be patient with me. I know I have missed class the last 2 weeks. It's been kind of sporadic, but that's not. Believe me, that's not what I want to do. But you have to understand, I'm one person, and I'm trying to grow a business, and I got to add some other people in, and we getting everything, we smooth lining everything, making everything professional. But we're gonna get back, because because every time we have class, we go through cases, and you ask any of my students, they're gonna tell you they love class, man, because it's something different. It's some, okay, okay, all right. Hey, you know what? But I want to first of all say I appreciate the spirit of your question and your question in itself. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, bro. I mean, it was a good question. It was a good question. It was a very good question, and but but it kind of went into, like, listen, man. I know people might look at me and they might be thinking he sold out, or the people got to him. Just think, just think for a second. I've been doing this 20 years. I've been reading the whole time. All right. 20 years before AI came on the scene. I just started using AI about a year ago. Okay. About a year ago. All right. So I've been this entire time studying just with me. Now I got a device that I can zoom through information at the speed of light. Okay, my production then went up 110%. Okay, I got an assistant. It's an assistant. It's not programming me. It allows me, I'll give you an example. Let's say, let's say we want to talk about constructive trust. With the taking of the gold in 1933. I'm giving an actual scenario. This I worked out with ChatGPT, and how I use ChatGPT. I think this will illustrate how I utilize it to try to come to a determination of whether or not something is real or not, whether something has some sort of basis, some sort of legal basis to it. Something that we could actually use in court. This is what I'm doing. I'm trying to see if I can make an argument in court to corner a judge or back down a judge or something like that. This is the process that I'm using, because now I understand how public and private operate, understand legal principles. Not too good on procedure like that. You know what I'm saying? I could work on my procedure, but I'm at a point where my comprehension, if I got to go and study it, I can understand it, and then I can improperly implement it. I don't like I don't like going in law and everything. Those time constraints, like time constraints on the federal level are a lot tighter than they are on the state level. And you understand all these different things, and I kind of sometimes it's fun, but I did my bid with that. I did a bid with it. You know what I'm saying? I did a bid with all of that, and I'm not looking to do another one. Let me just say that. So shout out to the attorneys. I understand your pain with paperwork and why you charge what you do for paperwork. See, paperwork costs money. Oh, paperwork costs money. It's gonna cost you some bread. You ask somebody to do some paperwork, expect to pay some money because paperwork is tedious. Hell yeah, you're gonna pay. You got to pay for it. They think it's just paperwork, but it's just when I would use Chat GPT, what I would do is I would take disparate sources of information. Like for instance, if I'm uh, like for instance, this right here. Like I forgot to use this. I'm going to implement this. But see, my chat, it already has so much information already. It's going to add this. That's why I said this is very interesting, and it goes into this thing because I've already fed it information that it can synthesize. See, if you just raw with chat and you ask it a question, it might give you that some answer that you can find. It echoes something an attorney will say or something that a judge will say. If you just got it raw like that. But when you start introducing evidence to it that you know about, because I got 20 years of experience, and it's like, man, I never seen this before. Well, maybe we need to reevaluate this. Now you're getting chat to start reevaluating what it was fed. Now it's kind of looking at the people that programmed it in a different way. Well, damn, was these motherfuckers lying to me? You know what I'm saying? It do. It do. It does. And it's an amazing thing. I can see how they can put it. They're going to eventually have human beings walking around. I mean, and will be indistinguishable from humans. I can already see it coming. If you're thinking about right now, we in 2026, imagine what it's going to be like in just 20 years. 20 years.
Billions on this stuff. Like it's
Man,
not even a
listen,
game. Like
all the memory, I deal with computers and everything too. I'm a tech guy. And memory then went through the roof. I went and bought some memory for my computer. I think it was like $100. I went back after this AI explosion and tried to get the same thing. It was like $700. I was like, what? Yeah, because they say the AIs are sucking up all the memory. So it needs memory. So it's sucking up all the memory, and it's like that's why memory has skyrocketed, and it's like I mean skyrocketed like 700, 800% increase.
But there's half these data centers, the rooms, half of them are all memories. They're all memories. Like they're just memory cards.
It's
They're
memory, man.
everything in that in that.
It requires a
Hey,
lot of memory, a lot of memory.
hell yeah, man. It's nuts, man.
Like
But man, I'm so appreciative of this call, man. I really want to let that other person get a chance. I know I kind of extended this. They didn't even catch that. I'll take over the call. But I'm gonna join up. SPC, Secured Party Creditor.
yeah, it's secure. Mhm.
If you had, if you had to, say, like, explain it in like 3 words, what does it mean for the person to do this process? Like, what happens? What is it? Like, what is this? Like,
Private banking.
let's try to jump in. Okay.
Yeah, private. I would just display. It's just really private banking, and that's what I had Mr. Brewer on. You need to go back and listen to the podcast we just did with Mr. Brewer. And the reason we did that podcast because we were trying to give you, he was trying to give you a framework and understanding how the DTC operates, how collateralization, is used to determine value when we have negotiable instruments and things of this nature, with bonds and things of that nature. So, he works in that space. I didn't seen, I've been knowing him a long time. I have ultimate respect for him and his knowledge of what he knows. And hell, I'm just trying to get him to do a class on SBC University, because y'all have no idea. But it's, I call it SPC. I call it SPC University because it's Secure Party Creditor is how I started. Not because that site is totally devoted to Secure Party Creditor. It's just that It was just that's what started me. High frequency radio and SP and Secured Party. That's how I started. So, and I always give an ode to that, and and give deference to that. But we have Secured Party information on there, as well as we do a lot of trust. And right now we are doing private ordering and trust. Okay, on Tuesday and on Monday and Wednesday we do private ordering, and on Tuesday and Thursday we do trust. We run through a case on trust. We look at the principles of law that support it. With private ordering, we try to get a well-defined understanding of public and private contract, and then how we're going to organize our affairs in such a way where we could limit liability or even eliminate liability. All right, but that's a structure that has to be put in place. So you have to understand the framework all that operates in, and that's kind of like what I'm doing. Just giving a framework right now with my students so they can understand it, the framework, because that public and private thing is the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, a lot of people don't get it, and it's just public government, private absence of government. Government not involved in it. That's essentially what it is. If it's public, it's the government. Anything that's attached to the government, and the private, the government is not attached to it. That's one of the, okay. That's one of those things like you go at Chat GPT with that I was doing. That's a good example right there. Like I'm in full agreements with you. I'm like, there's something inherently wrong for me paying property tax if for the land I live on. Now I understand that the duties of government is to protect your borders, protect your property, and protect your liberty. That's the only duties that they have to you. And we're a free people, so we're supposed to, in that framework, we're supposed to be able to do whatever we want to do. Okay. What happened was that the government in 1933, the biggest thing that hamstrung us was the taking of the gold, because we can't engage in private transactions outside of public some sort of regulated space. I, when that is guaranteed to us in the Constitution under the Republic, we guaranteed Republic. So those are the questions. Like when you start engaging chat with, you're gonna start sounding like they sound, but then you'd have to hit them with some stuff like, okay, well, this is a guaranteed republic. Now, how am I going to be guaranteed that? How? And you'll see it teetering on this thing. Like, okay, I have a right to engage, and I should have a right to engage in private transactions outside of a government regulated space. True or false? And then you just start from there. And then you see its answer, and you're like, okay, well, what about this? And you just keep going back and forth until either ChatGPT is going to show you that you're wrong, or you're going to show ChatGPT that it's wrong. But that's all that's going to happen, because sometimes ChatGPT a lot of times shows me I'm wrong. Yeah, it does. Hey man, look, I got another caller waiting. Let me let him in, okay? All right, all right, all right. Okay, 907 area code. Line is open. I'm doing good, bro. How you doing?
Man, I love listening to you. You remind me of my father. He'd say, "It ain't no such thing as a stupid question, but boy, that's a dumbass question." And so I own my own government contracted business, and I want to tell you a little bit of a story. Uh, Me and my man, we was putting a bid in for an excavator, and so this was with Caterpillar. We gave them a contract for a net 30, and they didn't want to perform it. And at that time, I had just came into your information. Sorry,
Right.
excuse me. So I just came into SPC University. I was on there downloading everything, reading through everything, and so I had put to use what I had learned. I've made an affidavit of truth, expression of truth, and I gave it to them. And then the attorney contacted us, and he said, "Why didn't you just create a bond backed by the promise of the government to pay?" And so that got me thinking, which is leading to my question now,
is how would you create, and would this be seen as fraud, intent to defraud? How can you create a private instrument and give it for, I guess to say, the set off? Because what's happening in the back office is, Caterpillar is essentially financing their own hand. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I was when I had the interview with Mr. Brewer. That's what I was showing. It's a paper game. This whole thing, entire thing, is a paper game first and foremost. It's a manipulate. It's money changers. The money changers from the Temple of Jesus are the ones that designed this whole framework. This is a money changing operation. It's just money changing from one form to the next, from a bond to a Federal Reserve note to a promissory note to a money order to, you know what I'm saying, to maybe digital currency back. It's just changing form from one form to the next. And then somebody may be, and they're all contracts. So they're agreements. And in some of the agreements, somebody might discount something to allow somebody to make a profit or to add interest so they can get more credits off of something or something like that. It's a credit paper game, when you understand it at its root. And when you begin to understand it, you begin to see, okay, well, the first thing is how are we going to create value? That's the first thing. How do we determine what value is? And then how do we get an interest in a thing to secure that value? That's kind of like what everything is turning on in this space, is about securitization. Everything really comes down to securitization. This is why you have a UCC. This is why you have an Article 8 and Article 9 securities and secure transactions, which all begins with Article 3, which is negotiable instruments. Those things are in there because they all come from the law merchant. They had to adopt the law merchant because there ain't any money. When they got rid of gold and silver, okay, there's no gold and silver. Then how are we gonna do transactions now? Everybody said, how we gonna engage in business? You took the gold and silver away. They had to come up with something. So they looked over and saw an apple. They say, okay, what about that law merchant over there? That's how they do business across the sea. The law merchant was developed because of ways of first of all, for security reasons and everything, because toting a lot of gold and silver around was dangerous. So they came up with a way, and the Jews are really the ones that constructed all of this. They constructed all of this. They're the architects of it. But that's why they dominate it to this day. It's still in control of it because they created it. It's a system that they created, and that's why they're in control of it. They created this entire system, and that's why they wanted us in this system and not using gold and silver. Remember, Mayor Amschel Rothschild, he said, bring them back to colonial status, and I think when they refused to renew the charter in the first Bank of the United States or something, and they wanted to use their own paper script. I think it was the War of 1812 or something like that. I might be wrong. I might have my dates off. I'm not reading that as much as I should. But there is a video you should watch. It's called All Wars Are Bankers' Wars.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
Watch that. He did a very good. He did an excellent job in that particular video, giving you a good historical perspective of the monetary system. All right. So once you understand that framework, that it's a paper game, there really isn't any money. So now we're looking at value and how that can be derived from, and how we can have an interest in a thing. And how you have an interest in a thing is by having a contract with. That's what a security interest is. This is why I never came off Secured Party. I don't even listen to what that dude was talking about, or you ain't got no proof of nothing. I ain't never come off nothing because everything they doing is about securitization. Everything, because that's how you produce money. That's how money is created.
And your conduct.
And your conduct. So it's like, so I just couldn't come off. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is how money is produced. And the court is going to be a bank. A court is being a bank because it's putting a lien against property. Okay, and when you have a lien on something, that evidence is a debt, and debts can be sold. Debts can be discounted. Anybody in the space know that? So if I see, like in OCGA 1711-1 out in Georgia, where they find you guilty, they put a lien against you, I know you're involved in banking.
Right.
You may not want to admit it, but I know you can discount you. I know how the discount note market works. So yeah, you got a court registry investment system. Come on, man. I done seen all your stuff on the Bloomberg screen. I done seen this with my own eyes. You can't tell me the courts are not involved in some kind of way with securitization, which leads to the creation of money. That's what everything is all about. That's the game. That's the top game.
And you know, I also wanted to ask you, where's that Wozni video? I'm actually one that commented on the Facebook, and I only reached out because I looked all
You want me
these
to that Stephen Wisney? Oh, you talking about the class from class?
Yeah, because you know,
I'll,
so I downloaded one of the old
I'm real
SEC.
careful about certain stuff I get circulated. I'll tell you what, we'll do the Wisney thing again. I'll run through the
Okay.
Wisney thing again because Stephen, I'm glad you brought that up because Stephen Wisney is the one that was behind those bonds in Greece, where dude tried to pay off the
'Cause that
national debt with Greece, and he's the
that was real interesting to me.
yes.
That was real interesting.
And I
Two
found I
trillion
forgot
and
how I found
160
that,
billion.
but see, you see how I found that? I found that because I understand securitization and know how to follow the bouncing ball. I know where to look and see where they lodged a claim on a security interest in the UCC. I know how to go into the commercial chamber and read a UCC one, and then from reading that UCC one and the names of it, that led me to other corporations, and I followed it. I traced it all the way back to him to Greece. I spent about a couple of hours doing the research on that, trying to find out because it was an attorney who did it, and it started with a letter
Right.
because it started because all this started was because he was a straight up good attorney, and he had a client who sued a judge, and the judge defaulted. The judge didn't show up, and it was default. So the attorney brought the default judgment to have it signed, but to another judge. And then when another judge saw it was a judge, he refused to sign it. And so he told him, he said, look, man, no one is above the law. That was essentially his whole argument was no one is above the law. You are amenable to the law just like anyone else. Okay. But they didn't want to hear it. So he took it all the way to the Supreme Court of Washington. And they end up disbarring him. So to get them back, he said, okay, stop using my name. And he went and got crack. He used the process out of cracking the code, third edition, where he was using them violation his copyrighted name. He charged them $500,000 instance of it, and then after that, he created a bond off of it. He put a lien on them, and the lien got interest, and then he started selling portions of it for about 10 years straight. Look, stuff like that goes on. And then I'm gonna leave this out because this is the real secret is how he was able to pass inspection on his collateralization. Because the Supreme Court looked over it in Greece and said they couldn't find anything wrong with it. But he hid it in something, in a device he utilized. But it's still just a game. Once you see how he did it, he's like, it's a goddamn game. It's a game. It's a game. And Mr. Bruno, they play this game. People are playing it, more people than you realize. And there's much more money that's being played with. Man, let me tell you, Elon Musk and all them dudes. Nah, man. Man, what's going on behind the scenes is it's a whole bunch of people who have money. It's a lot of people who have money. A lot. A lot. And they have it because they know how to think. And they don't want you to know how to think. And so that's why they keep wanting. They love it when you play the role of victim. Oh man, you are the man. You are the man. Okay. If you stay in a state of mind of victimhood, they will never worry about you ever in life. You are nothing to be worried about. And there's nothing that you can do to them. You can raise an army and you still probably wouldn't be successful. They're not worried about you in the least. There's only one thing that they are worried about the general population figuring out, and that's how to think. The science of it. There's a science to it. That's the only thing that they are afraid of. They ain't afraid of nothing else. Nothing. That's the only thing. I'm trying to tell you. You don't have to listen to me all you want. You stay on that physical plane and dealing with issues that are in the land of effects. There is no power in the land of effects. All power is in the cause. The cause is mental. The effect, the cause is spiritual. The effect is physical. Cause and effect. When you remain a victim, you remain in the effect. You ain't the cause of anything. Well, why am I gonna be afraid of that? Afraid of that?
No,
You're a victim.
no.
You understand how a victim, all a victim is a person who lives in the domain of effects. They're a pawn on the chessboard that's getting moved around. And they can cry all they want to. All that crying is going to do is just lead to more effects. That's it. They just smile. They on the beach, sipping drinks, got naked women walking around them, relaxed, sleep very well at night while you're on TV, picketing and protesting, talking about how somebody racist or something like they love that. They love all that. Keep playing the victim. Long as you stay in that victimhood, why do you think nothing has changed for you in 100 years? You've been picketing and protesting for the last 50 years. Why do you think nothing has changed?
Right.
It's just evil people? Is that what it is? Why do you think, okay, why do you think in 1933, what happened? What happened in 1933 that got you into a state of dependency? That's the welfare state, the creation of the welfare state. So when somebody like Trump, so when somebody like Trump comes along and he tries to take that away from you, he's trying to teach, as it says in the Bible. He said, teach a man how to feed him, give a man a fish he can eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he can eat the rest of his life. Okay, you'll never learn how to fish as long as you keep being a dependent. How it's going to happen?
And so, what is that old deal then? That's something else I've been trying to find out.
The old deal was you were the sovereign, and the government was a servant to you, and you paid their salaries. As a matter of fact, if you read the congressional record of 1933, and I'm gonna have to get off in just a second, y'all, 'cause we got another podcast coming in, but uh, the congressional record, if you were to read the congressional record of 1933, okay, I run it through AI and tell AI this when you run it through. Say, is there a statement in here that says that how are we going to take care of the American people if the American people take care of us? See, the old deal was the American people took care of the government. We paid their salaries. We were their constituency. They were our fiduciaries. They had to do what we had to do. But when they flipped the script and we became dependents, they had to change. And this is why everybody thinks the status has changed. And they talk about status correction because it's that action of dependency that invokes these statutory laws over you in certain kind of ways. It's that taking advantage of benefits and privileges, because that's what that is. Benefits and privileges. Now, there is a way to take advantage of benefits and privileges outside your individual capacity. If you want to do that, it's a certain capacity you should do that in. But when you just kind of understand the framework of it, how it's set up, you can see it's a game, man. You're gonna start looking at it as a game. I look at it as a game, and I was raised at a time when I grew up with Christmas. We would get the game of Monopoly, Mousetrap, Life, Connect Four. All these board games, Clue. Stuff like that. These board games that we would get, and one of the processes when you get a new game is we all had to read the instructions. All right, some games had paper money, some games had dice, every game had a token. You always had to have a token, something to move around on the game board with. So they give you 7 tokens to pick from to play the game in the public. Hey, you want to be an individual? You can take all the liability. Well, we got to give you some because you didn't came into the public, don't know what you're doing. So we got to give you some sort of token because you want to play on this game board. We'll give you the individual token, okay? Then you wake up a little bit and you say, you know what? I think I want an LLC. I want a corporation, or maybe I want a company or something like that, or in a partnership. And then finally you get smart and you say, you know what, if I really want to be in control of this thing and I really want to eliminate liability completely, I need to understand how to operate an irrevocable private trust. You see what I'm saying? It's degrees of understanding that you go to. And the reason that you're looking at the wealthy people and you thinking they're doing things corrupt, why the taxes ain't fair and things like that, because they know how to get on the game board. You don't get on the game board in your individual capacity, fool. That's the first thing you did wrong right there. Okay, it's the thing, but you mad. I'm getting taxed. The taxes are illegal. You got tax protesters and shit like this and everything. And then, but then you're looking at them like, God didn't read the instructions. He didn't read the instructions to the game. Because like right now, I ask you, what do you do in a game of Monopoly if what? You run out of money. What do the instructions tell you to do? If the bank run out of money.
So the players, I ain't played Monopoly in a long time.
All right. In the instructions, it tells you to get some notebook paper and make some more money. Same shit they do in the real world. Same stuff, you know what I'm saying? So the game of Monopoly was teaching you about the world, how it operates. You have a chance, and you have community chess, public and private. You have a jail on there. You have real estate, because that's the ultimate goal of all business is deposit your money in real estate, because real estate is immovable property. Ain't nobody can pick it up and take it anywhere. It's the safest investment going. It's made more millionaires than any other investment. This is where people park their money in apartment complexes and things like that. It is a game. And once you look at the architecture of the game, you're going to want to play the game, because you're just mad because you didn't read the instructions. Just didn't read the instructions, man. Read the instructions so you know what community chess is for. So you understand what chance is for. Okay. Now you can't put $500 on free parking, nigga. That ain't in the instructions. That's just it. And the UCC is the instructions. That's the instructions to negotiable instruments and securitization, which everything is operating on. It's just the instructions to the game, man. All right, that's all. That's why they adopted it. All right, they adopted it in all 50 states. They're like, okay, we're gonna play this commerce game. All right, here are the instructions. They're gonna open the commerce game board game. Well, where are the instructions? Well, we gave each state the instructions. We uniformed it. Everybody got the same instructions, right? Okay. Okay, all right, we ready to go. All right, let's start the paper game. Some people don't need to be on, some people come onto the game and get a job. They say, well, I want a job. Well, you you want to get into the game, huh? So what capacity are you coming into the game to play? Or, you're going to be an employee? Well, we're going to have to put you in your individual capacity. And then give you a social security number, because that's some dependency shit. All right, people who start their own business, they not dependents. Employees are dependents. I hate to sound like that, but that's true. It's just what it is. I don't want to. This is the game. You'll see it clearly when you start. Okay, that's it's this dependency thing. Or you doing things on your own? Even with the discussion between the Democrats and the Republicans, it go all the way to that level. One groups want the government, thinks the government should be in their business and assist them with everything, like healthcare, welfare, and things like that. One doesn't. All right, because one read the instructions. Like, that's why I flipped over. I was a Democrat, but then when I understood how the board game was set up, I'm like, I ain't do that no more. But then that's going to look at them. But see, what happens? Why a lot of people have a problem with that, because that's a defining moment. Because when you make a defining moment, when you decide to bet on you, that's scary to a lot of people. It wasn't scary to me because I got locked up. I was a hustler before this. I already learned how to depend on myself for a very long time. I know ain't nobody coming to save me. I know that the helping hand that I'm looking for is at the end of my arm. And so when I look at the things that I went through in life, and then I see somebody crying about something, and I'm like, dude, I'm no better than you. I went to jail, came out, and did something. I got ostracized. I got excluded from really the workforce. I got to tiptoe around having a gun, but I'm doing it. I'm supposed to have sympathy for you. Now, granted, I put that on myself, but that's what men do. They take accountability. I've accepted that I put it on myself, and I'm not crying about it. I'm like, you know what? And I'm figuring out how can I function at an optimal level, understanding the path that I took in the past and into the present. What can I do? How can I function optimally with everything that I got at my disposal? Well, the first thing is I got to depend on me. First thing that happened when I got arrested, when they had me in jail, I said, the only weapon I have is my mind. That's the only weapon I have. Because I can't fit. I'm not about to depend on this attorney who's about to bring me a plea deal. So what am I going to do? You know, I train my students. I tell them this. I say, look, if somebody, I want you to think like this. If somebody take you and put you in a cell, they snatch you up off the street and put you somewhere in a cell by yourself, and all they do is throw you some pen and some notebook paper, what are you going to do? What can you do? I've been in that situation. That's why I show up in my mind, because I can write some stuff right off the top of my head. Can you? I got 2 videos corresponding with public officials, 1 and 2, where I did things right in front of my class, letting them bring the subject. You got to be able to do that, man. You can't be like you can't be in this space and depend on somebody else. This is not the space for that. This is the space of sovereigns. And I think a lot of people do not understand the definition of that term, what that means, what that entails, what responsibilities inure to you. And the first one that you have to learn is you have to learn how to think. And in that thinking, the first thing you have to eliminate from that thinking is victimhood, because you are 100% accountable and responsibility for every fucking thing that happens to you. I accept that responsibility happily.
I appreciate you, Yusuf. Although it might get off the line, so somebody else get a turn to call, but I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you too, bro. Thank you for calling in, man. Thank you, man. All right, y'all, I got to get off now, man. I like the call ins. I like the call ins, but I'm going to have to, I got to make some space because we got some things and you know, we're growing over here. You know, anybody's been following me for a long time, you know that you see this progression and it's going to continue, you know, because I'm always looking forward. I'm always looking forward. I'm always trying to be the best version of myself. I'm chasing that. And if you're a man out there and you're not doing that, I don't understand. You got one life, bro. You need to live it, and you should want the best that life has to offer, starting with you. What can you do for yourself? Are you in shape? What skill have you gotten for yourself? What area what area of what concentration of study have you engaged in to make yourself valuable? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, y'all. Hey, look, I gotta get off. Peace. I ran over. I'm sorry. I get emotional. Get cash fast. Okay. Hey, look, y'all. I want y'all to like, comment, and subscribe under this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Touch on the use of phrase. Use of means L shall increase or God shall increasing or adding. That's what my name means. Yusuf is just Arabic form of Joseph or Yosef. Yusuf is Arabic. Yosef is Hebrew. And the reason I use Yusuf is because I did go to the school of. I'll tell you the story. Why do I call myself Yusuf Ale? I'll tell you why. I probably should change my name. It's probably getting to a time where I just need to change my name now. But I'm so well known behind that name, it's almost like a brand. All right. So uh, the thing was, it was like when I first started, I started with Blog Talk Radio. And I was going by my real name at first. By the first couple of episodes, I was going by my real name. And I wasn't very good. at what I was doing. But then I started getting good. But the first audience that started listening to me was in the tri-state area up there in Northeast New York, Baltimore. It's a heavy hotbed of Moors. My first group of people who started listening to me were Moors. Okay, so I was already a member of a group. I went to the Moorish school. I studied Moorish science. I wasn't a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America or anything like that. But the group I was a part of, we took pride in trying to study everybody's stuff. Because we gave respect to all of the patriarchs. Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, Elijah Muhammad. All of them. And I was familiar with that. And then I was when I was in the school of Islam, because I didn't get that name as a Moor. A lot of people attribute that name with Moorish science, and it wasn't. I was in a group in Islam, and we were in a mystical order, and that was the name that was given to me. And so when I saw that everybody had Arabic names, I decided to use the one that had been given to me. And when I did, my platform exploded. I couldn't take it back. Everybody started calling me that, and it spread like wildfire. And it spread so fast I couldn't take it back if I wanted to. So I operate under that name. But yeah, I went to the School of Islam. I have a lot of respect for Islam, all the religions. All of them, because once you study all of them, for instance, in the Quran it tells you, all the same people that are in the Torah in the Quran. You have Isa ibn Maryam. You have who Yachanan, John, all the same people. That it's the same Jewish group of people. It's really kind of like the Jews. Like it's like a offshoot Jewish religion in certain aspects. But it was a school for me. I look at it as a school. That's what I look at. I'm gonna look at that school. We call them schools of thought, and and I like that phrase because it allows me to look at it from the lens from a scientific. I try to look at everything scientifically. I try to look at it from that. But anyway, hey, look, I had to get off, y'all. Peace. I'm out. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all later. All right, Steve.